Hi there, hi everybody. It's been a little while since I made a video. Well, actually, no, it hasn't. I think I made one a couple of weeks ago. Talking a bit about Cantonese, I think it was. And I just wanted to make a video talking a bit more about this and what I intend to do. Pardon me. So I mentioned that I was interested in learning Cantonese. It won't be a major focus, won't be a major interest, but I do want to still do it. Partly as an experiment and partly because it is very interesting. Chinese languages are very interesting, and also learning a tonal language. I've never done that before. This is another different sort of challenge. Yeah, it's a tonal language, so I obviously have to get used to that. I've never learnt any tonal languages. I have learned languages that are more grammatically complex than Cantonese, of course, but I haven't learnt any tonal tongues. So what I'm doing is, I haven't had time to dive in, but I've purchased this Teach Yourself book. Teach Yourself, as you know, I'm a fan of Teach Yourself. This is my favourite series. Actually, let me put it up so you can see it. That's it. This is probably my favourite way to learn languages or start learning. I'm definitely going to use this book. There's a lot in it. It's very thick. It's got a lot of stuff. My intentions will be this. I'm not going to focus on the written language at the moment. That's not to say that I won't learn it down the track. I don't want to do that in the beginning. I know many people will say that's a bad idea, but I have my reasons. And I think that it also says in this book too that if you ignore the written language in the beginning, you're more likely, much more quickly, it'll be easier for you to pick up the spoken language if you ignore the written language for a little while, not forever. And the reason for that is because the written language doesn't really go together or correlate with doesn't really connect with the spoken language so much. It's not like a phonetic alphabet, well, not English so much because it's not phonetic, but say Italian or Indonesian, let's say, where you read, every letter or every letter represents the same sound, so it's easy to read and write the language. So it's phonetic, and the alphabet tells you how to pronounce the language, whereas Cantonese characters and Mandarin characters don't tell you how to pronounce. They have meanings. They're like pictures, and they have meanings behind them. There's no alphabet. So that would be the reason. I am interested in writing, but I don't want to do it yet. So maybe in 3 months or 6 months or a year, I'll definitely do that. I'd rather have some language behind me before doing that. Some language experience before doing any writing or learning to read or write in Cantonese. Of course, if you want to improve your vocab and really, you need words, you need to read and write, of course. Anyone knows that. But my main focus will be talking to people, conversations, if not super difficult conversations either. It's not, as I said, Cantonese is not a major focus for me. I'll also learn Mandarin down along, I don't know when, maybe in a couple of years, maybe in a year or two. So it's just for conversation. I have other languages which I prefer to write in anyway. Yeah, so what I intend to do is, I haven't had time to start serious dedicated study because this year is focused on Indonesian, and this year and maybe even next year still focused on Indonesian. So because I'm enjoying that. I'm enjoying my Indonesian a lot, and I don't want to stop doing that. But I do want to start. What I've started doing is looking through this book, literally just flicking through it. It's good to flick through it when you get it. Have a look through it. Don't try to memorize anything. Don't try to pronounce anything. Just look through it. And do that a couple of times. I've done that. Read the front. Talks a bit about the language. I thought the front was very interesting. It gives a bit of history about Cantonese and its role in history, and who speaks it, blah blah blah. Also talks a bit about the structure of the language. So one thing, if this is a tonal language, 9 tones or whatever, I don't know, doesn't matter to me. Whatever, yeah, that will be a challenge, that aspect of a language. But as far as structure and grammar, it will not be difficult for me. I've learned much more complex languages, and it explains that a language, this language has no tenses like in English, past, present, future, like European languages, or even some other Asian languages like Japanese, Korean, that have tenses. This does not have any tenses. There's only one form of the verb, so it's not an inflected language, which means that words do not change at all for plurals, you know, like in English, Italian. So a bit like Indonesian in that respect. So that's a good thing. There's no present, past, there's no plurals, there is no subjunctive, obviously, and there's probably some other thing that I'm thinking, but I can't remember. Anyway, it's not very grammatically challenging. It will be fun to speak, fun to learn. I don't worry about grammar anyway in the beginning, so it doesn't really matter. But in terms of the tones and the sounds are not that different from other languages. That's not going to be hard. The tones, they've got a section on tones in the start of the book. I don't deliberately go through that. Maybe once I just hear it. I don't read through it. What I do is I get straight to the dialogues. I've just been listening to the dialogues throughout the CD and just getting used to people talk, just hearing the language. Eventually I will, once, twice, 5, 50 times, doesn't matter. I'm going to do that for a little while. Not trying to remember anything, not trying to understand anything at this stage. Occasionally write something down, like hello, or how are you, or something simple. But at this moment I'm just getting the sounds in my head. Get used to hearing it. That way I've got the sound of the language in my head. That's one thing out of the way. It'll help me to learn a language that I'm not familiar with. I think you've got to do this with tonal languages, or not just, or languages which the sounds are quite difficult, but different to your language, like Arabic or something, or Korean, or I'm trying to think, maybe Russian, Georgian too, with that sort of throat sounds. Certain languages use, Arabic has it, German has it, Dutch has it. Those sorts of things, and other consonant sounds in Korean which we don't have in English. That sort of thing. You need to listen to the language, get used to it. Not so much Italian or Indonesian or something like that. But other than that, the sounds aren't too hard. So I'm just going to do that, and then I may use Pimsleur as well. Pimsleur just to start, which will be good. Get some basic words and phrases, while still going through the teach yourself, but not heavily. And then maybe in a couple weeks down the track, a few weeks, I will, probably announce that I'm learning it more seriously. And it might be for a couple of months. And I'll announce also when I will make my first video in that language. It may only be a month after. So we'll see. Appreciate your comments. Thanks for watching. If I can, I will make another video, hopefully in another language, talking about this topic or something. Thank you.